Hello everyone. Today I will be presenting my thesis entitled Purchaser's Preference for Service Apartment in Johor Bahru. So this presentation will be in audio mode, and at the same time I will be presenting my presentation slides too. So next I will be presenting my presentation slides that my research title would be Purchaser's Preference for Service Apartment in Johor Bahru area. So these are the contents that will be in my presentation slides. And the first one is introduction. So based on NAPIC statistics, the property overhang status for commercial building in Malaysia had increased from 2015 to 2019, and Johor has recorded the highest property overhang, followed by Perak and Selangor, that is 15,044 units. And among Johor states, Johor Bahru has recorded the highest property overhang, about 13,000 units compared to other regions of Johor Bahru. So in order to overcome this overhang problem, marketing can really help the selling of property through knowing what these potential buyers wants and needs. So the issue of the research will be to know what is the purchaser's preference towards service apartment in Johor Bahru area in order to reduce the overhang of service apartment in Johor Bahru. So the gap of the research is that the attributes, the preferences in overseas are different from the preferences in Malaysia. So the preferences that is preferred in Poland will be the existence of sustainable office space within the building. Meanwhile, the preferences that is studied in Malaysia will be more likely on security and neighborhood. So there is a need for a study to look into the preferences of the purchasers in service apartment in Johor Bahru to help the development for in future. So the research question that arises is that what are the purchasers' preferences for service apartment in Johor Bahru, and the second is that what is the main preference of the purchasers for service apartment in Johor Bahru. And the first research objective will be to determine the purchaser's preference for service apartment, and the second is to prioritize the main preference of the purchasers for service apartment in Johor Bahru. So the scope of research will be in Johor Bahru town area that recorded the highest property overhang of service apartment in Johor state. Next is literature review. So the first is the property market in Johor Bahru, and the first graph shows the numbers of property overhang service apartment units. So Malaysia has a price range of overhang properties that range from 600,000 to 700,000. Meanwhile, Johor State has the price range of 800,000 to 900,000. And the next graph shows the number of property overhang of service apartment units. So the overhang units in Johor Bahru has recorded the highest among the other region. For example, in Kulajaya, that only recorded has 102 units. So the statistic shows that there is a need to conduct the study in Johor Bahru area to ensure that the property overhang in JB can be reduced. So next is the list of preferences that is cited and taken by previous researchers, and it will be used for the design of questionnaire for afterwards in this research. The third one is research methodology. So for the sampling technique that is used in this research will be random sampling, and the sample size will be 100 respondents. And for information, the sample size is calculated by using Tarayamani's formula. So the third one, next one is research process. So there are 6 stages that is used to conduct this research. for the research methodology, and the first one is to identify and selection of research method. So for the first and second objective, the research method will be the same, that is through literature review and also survey. And literature review are obtained through screening the articles through the web and journals and also books. And the survey method will be used to collect the primary data for both of the objective of this research. And the second stage will be the creation of survey question. So for the first objective, the question will be inserted in part C of the questionnaire form, and for the second objective will be inserted in part B of the questionnaire form. So both of these objectives are measured through a 5-point Likert scale. And the third stage will be to identify the area of survey. So both of the objectives are the same. The area of the survey both are in Johor Bahru area. Stage 4 will be data collection, and the two of the objectives are still similar in data collection that will be collected through the distribution of Google Form through social media or WhatsApp. So the fifth stage will be data verification, and the data that has been collected will be verified accordingly to ensure that all the data are true and relevant for the study. The last stage will be data collation. So for the first objective, the data analysis method used is descriptive analysis. So the descriptive analysis will be run through SPSS software. And first, the data that is collected will be rearranged through in Microsoft Excel. Then it will be transferred to SPSS. After transfer is in SPSS, the descriptive analysis will be run in the software, so the result can be obtained for the further analysis. Meanwhile, for the second objective, the analysis method used for the second objective is relative importance index. So the data collected will still be rearranged in Microsoft Excel and then be calculated by the formula of RII. After that, the preference will be ranked from the most top priorities to the most lesser preference. So the highest RII will have the meaning of the highest preference that is needed for service apartment when purchasing a service apartment in Johor Bahru area. And next will be data analysis and findings. So the ranking of the sub-preference are shown as below. So for the sub-preference that is ranked first, that is security, will have the same result that is shown by Savaskas, that is in their research also. The property that oppose high security in the area will be likely to increase their ownership. And the sub-preference that is ranked second will be the security level of the surrounding area. This can be seen in the research that is done by Barkham. So the result of this research also shows that higher security implementation in that particular area will ensure higher investment made towards the property. And the third one is the length of period of property that was on the market, has shown by the previous research that is done by Anastasia. So she said that to know the decision making in purchasing a property in Bali also shows that one of the factors that buyers are concerned to purchase a property in Bali is the length of the period of the property has been on the market. So her results have shown that buyers prefer the property that is new to the market more than the property that has been in the market for a period of time. Next is whether that the property are easily accessible. This can be seen through the research that is done by Kamaluddin. So more than half of a respondent, that is 57%, thought that the accessibility of the property is one of the top factors to consider when investing in the property. So this study also has the similar result, shows that an easily accessible property will be the top priority for the occupiers for the service apartment in Johor Bahru area. And the property that is ranked 5th has 3 sub-preference, that is reasonable price with good quality, nearby to working place, and parking space. So for reasonable price with good quality can be seen in the previous research that is done by Razak, that shows more than 54% of the respondents had rated strongly agree on this sub-preference, and they also said that the buyers will look for more competitive and cheaper price with good quality property to be purchased. And next is nearby to working place. So according to Jia, she said that her result shows that the respondents preferred to choose the property that is closer to their working place. For example, people who works in JB Town are likely to prefer to live in Danga Bay or Nusa Jaya, which is less than 30 km in radius. And lastly is parking space. So the result that is obtained for this research are similar to the result as Savaskas, that shows the availability of parking space is one of the most popular and most highly demanded attributes when it comes to decision making in purchasing a property. Means that higher possible of parking space, the more attractive the place will be. Next is the ranking of the main preference. So the first main preference that has the first rank will be location. So this result that is obtained in this research can be seen as the same in other 3 researches that had been made. The first one is Jia and Bakam and Kamaluddin. So all 3 of the studies have shown that the location was top priority when it comes to making decision on purchasing a property. And Jia mentions that different locations have different values, but this will not stop the buyers from buying a higher price location in a more strategic place. Second is accessibility. So according to Kamaluddin, Jia, and also Majid, all 3 of the researchers have mentioned that in their research, the accessibility will be ranked top 5 when the buyers are choosing their property. And this is similar to the results that has been obtained for this research. The third one is price of property. So according to Jia and Majid, they mentioned that the price of property or service apartment is most popular in Iskandar area is the service apartment that is located in Danga Bay that costs 350,000 to 450,000. And Majid also shows that housing price are one of the factors that buyers would consider before purchasing a property. So next is facilities. So according to Jia, the results from her results show that service apartment buyers in Iskandar area are likely to purchase the property that is closer to many facilities. But this attribute is not as important as the location preference attribute that is near to their working place. Meanwhile, Razak has the result shows that buyers in Shah Alam tends to buy property close to schools and other public amenities. And Zawatskas also has a result that shows the investors for commercial property are likely to have their site closer to infrastructure and communication area. And next is financial. So, according to Anastasia, her result has shows that the financial factor is one of the factor for the reason of the respondent did not purchase a property. And her result also shows that the attributes to the financial factor that might affect the purchasing of property in Bali is the interest rate, mortgage term of payment, monthly installment, and other financial factors. Lastly is design of property. So according to Majid, most of his respondents has a family, and turns out that their consideration in design of property will be the most preferred with bigger space or bigger compound to enable their children to play around. And for conclusion, the significance of this study can be contributed to the property developer, and it will be used as a guideline or the ground rule to know better about the needs of the current occupiers of the service apartment for future development. Next is strata management. So this research can help them better in solving their problems that they are facing currently. Lastly is real estate agents. So through this study, they can know what is the clients actually desire and to have better listings in future. And last but not least, this is the flowchart that has been made. So the issue of this research is the property overhang for service apartment in Johor Bahru, and there are few solutions, but I chose two. The first is pricing strategy for developer and marketing. So for this research, we will be looking into marketing. So marketing is to understand the needs of the clients, the needs of the consumer. So after that, we will be looking more into the preferences of the purchasers and also occupiers. And below are 9 preferences of the purchasers for service apartment in Johor Bahru. So this is the end of the research presentation slides. So that's all for my presentation today, and thank you for your time and patience.